first match against Winthrop Shopify Rebellion. Man, Mephisto and Joe popped off both with 6 first bloods each. Like, this was their playground, and they're back on that same double duelist.
And with the double duelist setup that they're doing here for the Lion Crew is that they could also play double up setup as we saw them do here on the defensive side. So that could be a pain point to play for NV FlyQuest, especially when it comes down to, you know, the latest patch where you're having a lot less timings on your refreshable utility. So just playing a Sova single initiator might be a difficult task to deal with once you start taking here your attack side for NV FlyQuest. So I think it's a very similar fashion to what we've seen for this team on that map of Bind. Have a very strong start on their first half so that they can have a strong cushion to really adapt to the playstyle should they start losing some rounds here against the Lion Crew on the second half.
This Lion Crew wants to achieve more in these early rounds, at least on the defense. You saw them trying to be proactive to bait out that util. And then since you pointed out the Sova, trying to bait out that Owl drone early, get the defense nervous could be an important point. But when you have these puggier teams, keeping it simple, stupid is also going to be the strategy to not overcomplicate things when you're playing with new people. But it's attack side leading towards the right, and Munch was that threat that the desk had pointed out, that the players were noticing. But right now she's on the offense, and they're all funneling down short.
Poppin's gonna get caught.
One down.
Easy
That's gonna
as
open
that.
up the site.
And man, he was a standout, but so was Eggster. I feel like the more he mogs, the stronger he gets, right? He was a top fragger last map. He gets to live and even up the odds. But this time, the Lion Crew have time on their side. Jazzy's gonna drop, and beautifully coordinated to at least get the trade. But this Crew Lion, it just had more warm bodies left at the end of the day.
That was the only thing. You throw a smoke here inside the cubby, and or should I say towards the Acon, and you can't really get good value on Poppin at this point. And realize that it stays very quiet, and he even kept his recon dart for the longest time. So he was expecting that it was going to be some sort of fake no matter what, or a pop through the smoke to fight towards that long A side. But even the setup in itself for NV Fly, they played a 1-3-1 to just put a lot of focus into fighting on middle. And that, like I said, when you're caught off in your rotation or caught off in your position, doesn't give a chance right now for the rest of the team to get in good positions to fight back to hold the A side, and even the flood retake doesn't work. And maybe that's what Poppy wanted to do here from that pistol round. When there's no smokes to work with, then he gets value.
Well, that's a change-up too. Poppin's not going to let you run him over. A big surprise, and this was one of the strongest maps from that NV core. Came to Ascension in their Challengers run. Now Crew Lion left to re-clear and be worried about at what moment could Poppin pop out again.
Side smoke too, so they're definitely trying to waste that util, and look how it already came out. The recon dart already came through. They know the flood came back on that side, and unfortunately, the insert from Benji couldn't get that kill. There's an advantage now for Envy to fight back.
Benji's not even gonna tuck away after that paranoia. He was hungry, and NV FlyQuest had already rotated over. But this Lion Crew want to get cemented. They want to get the ball rolling. They're really matching that fire with fire, finding this new confidence after getting obliterated on that previous map, talking to their coach and taking this map like the series has just started. Now they get to play from main, and Jazzykins 1 versus 3. Not going to be very possible when the Prowler already reveals her. Could have tucked away towards the left, could have been at the back drum. Michaela won't be budging either. The anti-eco easily going this Lion Crew's way.
And they believe even if Benji misses that shot here towards that B side, he only get a pistol and already gained enough space here for his teammates to move up and close that gap and really flood into that site once we saw that jet dash come through on the side of Mephisto. So very well done towards the end to manipulate the map on the attack, even though they're at a disadvantage to start on the side of Crew Lion, as Poppin got some great value off the investments of his Sheriff, getting a 2-piece himself on that defensive side. And now they're looking to get some orb control, long A control at the same time, push forward the jet line so that the Euro could TP back and support towards that C garage spot. So as soon as this happens here and you clear out towards there, Now you have that forward position, and you're in a great spot now to play a buddy system right into that B and C site.
And be FlyQuest, not wasting any time, taking up space, trying to own it where Jazzy is inserted. Not gonna hear much, but able to escape. That's enough information to work with, especially when Poppin still has drone and recon.
Scanning ahead.
That was close. And that dart gets shot right away when there's already a smoke and only one person shot it. So you're still going to set this paranoia on the side of enemy FlyQuest. Now with that util, everything's being used on the A side. People are going to start peeking out for information. They might get caught here for NV FlyQuest.
And Benji's been listening in on to C as well and having the setup going, pinching in. Ev tries to surprise. Too many targets. This is the version of KRLY we've been waiting to see. One that will not roll over and cower. Now NV FlyQuest are being humbled, and this bonus soon to be converted. Jazzykin's at 7 HP, hoping to just keep this Vandal.
Yeah, and she got insta-dinked when she had that line on the A side, which shows her 7 HP, so there's nothing that she could do at that point. And you have to give it for Monch. When you have the timing from Envy that drops outside of that window, there was a beautiful flash that came from Thea from that C side right into that line. But as peeks out and you know, missing a little bit of targets, there's still one person that didn't get affected by a flash at all. And that was Monch, just staying back towards that double doors. Here's the shots, comes out, makes sure that she could save her teammates and not give a chance here for NV FlyQuest to go for that crossfire setup and that dub for that C-side anchor hold, because again, they had great positioning at the very start when they held out the macro on setting up that D. Benji finally picking up the last kill onto Jazzykins, and he himself also being a little bit selfless going into this roster for the team, because he's usually a Senti player back into the challenger side. He's going to give that responsibility and leave that responsibility onto Monch, who's playing her comfort role as a Senti player for crew, so that he could just fill up as an Omen, as any type of controllers, but still play that type of lurk, the same type of lurk role on how they're playing these slow attacks on a side now of line crew.
Especially playing that Omen, you have to be that playmaker, and being able to be trusted to be solo, to be patient. It's really paying off. This Lion crew and Eggster spotting some trouble ahead, now really stuck, but can send some help forward, create that crossfire, and not give in to the will of this Lion crew. We're working the map a lot more.
Yeah. Joe, I mean, with the pressure that they're adding there too, and they're getting that orb on the side of the Yoru, and there later on, so it's just going to be the mid-round call for the side of KRLY, and walking up towards that B side, breaking the turret would probably be the next step, and I love that timing. So a 6th sense coming out from Thea to throw that smoke towards that front, bait out some shots, and the turret stays up there, so that smoke kind of protects them. You're hesitating on the side of the attack to really cross that line because that smoke is so deep on the outside that it still allows NV FlyQuest to hold their position.
Shadows traveling.
Similar forward insert, NV FlyQuest. Always been favored in terms of space, but man, Lion crew are favored in the duels. Smonch is able to convert that first blood. And for them, hopefully an anti-eco, and Chazzy with the double swing. Now there's trouble on the flank, and this Lion crew have to be careful and decide to just turtle up and create a fortress within B. Maybe try to come out through garage behind NV FlyQuest, but Ev senses something afoot and is going to try and disengage. Ev will get the hunt down. The time is of the essence, and I think just weapon upgrades would be the ultimate silver lining for NV FlyQuest. But went out kicking and screaming instead. Yeah.
Yep. But still, you have to see how beautiful it's being played on the attack side so far now for Lion Crew. All that space that's given for the side of the defense, you're playing turtled up. You're not really playing aggro information on this side now, since you're just building up here or should I say econ on your side, of course, because you only had a Marshall to work with. But they have to be a little bit more proactive to really try to lock down these lanes, especially when it comes down to only having the Sova, only having a drone to help you on that mid round instead of 2 prowlers. And at this point, you're starting to see it. Extra's looking out towards the garage right away. He's going to peek at that spot, sees the aggression on the A side is popping, and they're going straight for a split on the A site.
Good initial damage from Poppin on a signature agent with even the Hunter's Fury in hand as Exter takes so much pressure out of NVFQ without even needing to lock eyes with this Lion crew, and Mephisto knives are out, converts to
Silence.
Last player
and they will not fear this NVFQ team no matter what the score was from the previous map. Nev will get spotted by the turret, the element of mystery gone. Michaela will need to double swing with Munch. Timing critical.
I mean, Benji's contact. They're just going to let Benji watch her first. The other two will swing out. It's very, very well orchestrated now for KRLY at this point. And just the entries, too. Jazzikin's trying to support the team. They had the perfect read on that side, and they gambled for that stack on the A side and just to fight their position on that hold. But you see the updraft coming out from Mephisto. It catches players off guard. I'm pretty sure there was a support from the Omen Paranoia that didn't really allow for players to really spot where Mephisto was pathing towards the A side exec, and he gets 2 easy entries for the team. And they're able to move in for a plant and hold that nice pulse plant towards the end. So you definitely see that as we're still watching face cams, this has to be a timeout now being called by FlyQuest to literally try to come back on their defensive side. They really haven't had the opportunity to bring up that economy to get that operator out for any of those players. Although, as mentioned by Lace before, they don't really have, Exer on the op. So you're really focusing that onto Jazzikins instead, which then it makes it a little bit difficult because you saw what happened a couple of rounds ago, Lemon Kiwi, when you actually had that forward line from Jazzikins right at the entrance of that A site. You have nothing but to be able to dash away, so you're already using all that aggressive utility just to get away, at the line towards the end. So it's very tough, especially with how KRLY has been operating around this this attack side, and hopefully they could have a chance here to maybe allow Exter to get those forward positions instead.
And aside from that last round, like, the defense has been putting the KJ turret in mid, allowing them to just build players towards the perimeter, the extremities, and still not coming out ahead, just taking unnecessary risks, going through smokes, but also knowing when to keep their distance. Especially when you're throwing out shock darts and Exter throwing out shots from top of heaven at A. Despite all this control at the it's been able to just overpower them once they do decide to pile in. Now when you have the nightfall, want to make sure before you invested. The gun's sticking out, and Ev couldn't confirm it. Now Mephisto looking to go and clean up, and Logs Poppin goes unspotted, and Tits is against fire against Michaela. And somehow this defense comes out ahead, but Benji will even up the odds, and this garage aggressive push from Munch is going to destabilize any comeback, any re-clear on this NVFQ squad.
That's so nice. So many good lurks coming through here from both of those players, the Omen and the KJ. Now you're forcing the Omen TP to get information, but you're not going to get value out of it until this Paranoia comes out, though.
Oh, this is ballsy from Exter, tries to isolate the one, but needed to be executing that so quickly to get away with murder like that. This is a flawless half so far from KRLY. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, there's just so much that you could talk about within that last round, right? So you have you're like a Swiss Army knife with this roster on this map, and that shows how and why they're so strong on Haven here for the side of KRLY. You have now 2 players that can lurk around the site. One that's going to plat, the other one's going to lurk between the Omen and the KJ. But also in that previous round, it was kind of set up for Zhou to try to get some information on that A side with the operator. They could still throw a dimensional drift for a fake on the A side and TP back towards C. So this is still something that could happen within the later rounds because they still have these ults to work with. But you're going into a round where you're hoping to just go for another contact play and pop into the A site with the Nightfall, and somehow just spamming through the smoke, you've lost at least a dimensional drift information.
That's the trend. Poppin'. First blood, now hoping to chase him down with the Nightfall. Mephisto dashing in, not as deep as usual, but still gets the double kill right at the corner as he advances. Nothing can stop this Lion crew when they want a sight. Despite that first blood, need someone to help Poppin'. And it's Jazzykins that emerges with knives and op in hand. And Thea, Paranoia. Tough site to try and retake.
One enemy remaining.
KRLY doesn't have any tools to suppress them, but all you need to do is talk with your gun. Benji is even gonna get an angle behind them. Thea just wants exits, and Benji is done waiting around.
Laughing, jumping phantom kill for the last one, but man, now you're seeing how aggressive you are, going from alert play now to helping on the, I guess, triple entry at this point. I know Joe, even though he died early with the operator on that Yoru, it could happen in the later rounds. He TPs all the way up towards heaven while you have Mephisto fully blinded on that second to get that second kill still on that hell side, because he actually saw his opponent before he got flashed. But still some great entries coming through here from Mephisto at that side. They're not giving a chance for FlyQuest to really, or FlyQuest Envy rather, to set up at all into the A site hits. The amount of times that you're just plowing into the site, no opportunities. But now, let's see how KRLY's going to do. See if they can bring this to an 8-0.
Joder.
Tiene que salir.
Claro, pero no den 1v1, no den mucho ellos. ¿Vale?
Cuidado, cuidado.
Vamos a
¿Puedes tomar cara?
Vamos a pegar a la
Cuidado.
Bien.
Buena.
Tome
Solo
tag.
fisheen.
Cuidado que pueden estar avanzando.
Queda abierto en B.
Solo juntémonos y vamos a ejecutar una punta, boludo.
Uno más B.
Claro,
Uno garage, uno B.
están entregando,
Madro B.
están entregando.
Toma
Toma
B.
una bala, debe de ser.
¿Vamos, B?
No sé, está el Soma B.
Vamos a ver.
Sí, nos matamos. Es que hemos un... Bueno, sí, metámonos.
Espera el dron, boludo. Voy a
Vamos
dronar.
derecha, cuidado. Hay camping garaje. Flash derecha.
Es mío, es mío.
Bien. Me desvío contigo, me pis.
One enemy remaining.
Cuidado acá. Creo que estás ahí, boludo. No sé si escuché algo.
Vale, moramos.
¡Copy! ¡Drop the roll, bro! ¡Don't be selfish!
Uy, tres.
All the producers are laughing, but I don't know Spanish, so I'm sure
just
there
laughing
were
for
some words being
reactions.
spoken. Yeah, you know what? They look like they're having fun. They're yapping at something at their opponent, and man, Mephisto, everyone is looking so fluid, so confident, so good.
The only thing I understood was Vamo Bay, so they're going to finish B, and then I think I heard a C in there. So when there was only one player remaining, it was the KJ. They thought that she was playing the C site, but you saw from that minimap on that previous round that FlyQuest tried to change their setups because they were getting just overtaken from the double dives of KRLY over on that A site. So you're trying to add a little bit more utility on that side of KJ to help instead. And it's still, once again, another great read and calling here on the outside take on the attack for KRLY. They're able to bust out into the site, avoid that util, and catch FlyQuest and Envy off guard into the defensive position. So now, very similar scenarios as that first map. The team that's losing, which were KRLY in the first map, now it's Fly Envy that's calling both their timeouts in the first half.
It's red alert. It's giving map 3, in my opinion. And even Monch yesterday said, like, they just have such a good understanding of the game as a team that they're able to all contribute these ideas and kind of keep it simple, but also know how to elevate their performance each and every day. And, well, I guess every map, and they're clearly showing that.
Here.
Now your
On
mid
there.
control has just been taken away from you.
Yeah, exactly. You're pushing down. It's been rarely done here for the side of Envy FlyQuest. They just want to get rid of the turret right away and now insert some players. So this is actually a nice little change coming out here for FlyQuest and Envy. We talked about how they are playing so passively and just getting overtaken when they're trying to anchor towards that site. You need some fourth position. So they're able to take down at least that B site, play soft side on both A and B, as you can see right now, because they have that double ult that they could work with the Hunter's Fury and the lockdown. So taking full control on this side is going to help them out for the retake now.
Spike plant.
They're expecting that pace change after a timeout, and it's
You should
all or
run.
nothing. Need to at least just get the morale going. One round. It's a lockdown to lockdown. Hunter's Fury to try to take down the KJ ults. And Munch, a double kill to stop Envy FlyQuest in their tracks. Only one lockdown remaining, everyone. Oh, the jet got caught, but it's all a ruse. It's a bait, Nev. We'll still clean up. You're trapped in here with us.
No way.
And what annihilation, the defuse halfway. Ev still has one to go. Won't fall for the clone, but the clock will be what takes them out in the end. What a clutch from the Lion crew.
Dude, that was so close, though. Somehow that was winnable for the side of FlyQuest Envy. That was like a 2 versus, what, 4 or 5 that it was almost converted on that side. And it looked like, I was like, what the hell is going on? They went for the lockdown on the attack side. You're countering out on the defensive attack, and then everybody's still trying to fight into the C site before actually waiting for the lockdown to get any value. And I see what they were trying to do in the end here for FlyQuest Envy. You're forcing out the lockdown to be eliminated with the Hunter's Fury, and you're also using your own lockdown, so you're forcing players to recross towards long C, so you're trying to cut the rotations across, but they've lost all of those duels. And thankfully on that 1v1, Joe is able to save that round for KRLY, because Poppin and the lockdown got so much value, both Poppin and Ev.
Poppin does not want to be anywhere nearby with the dimensional drift, and
Spike down.
it's too late to escape. But Egster at least won't make this flawless for KRLY. Hopping to the top, though, the flank unsuccessful. Lion Crew have such a good understanding of how they want to take the A site now that Poppin isn't all up in their business. Ev at 5 HP. Doing as much. Whoa! What a shot jumping out! Clearing Mephisto. That was impressive. What else can you do, though? Monch giving a lot of respect to this, wasting Ev's time, hearing the flash behind, and it's the shorty to the face.
Did KRLY watch the VODs and the analyst desk before they started the second map, and then heard Lay say we're gonna win 12-0 in the first half? Because this is well on the way now for the LATAM team to actually have their 12-0 attack side half on Haven. This is such a masterclass. Look at all the information that Joe's getting through the dimensional drift to allow the Omen from Benji to get so much with the paranoia. Again, another area where you can't really lock into sites. We really didn't really throw a smoke into the sites to add the extra layer for the anchoring for NV FlyQuest inside the A site. So you can definitely see here, not necessarily frustration, but definitely a lack of an adaptation going into these hits after hits after hits.
Mephisto gonna make his route shorter. Being able to dash in to C with knives, but quick peek from Jazzykins eliminates that lurk. So limited options now for this Lion Crew. But they've been first-blooded, and guess who's 10-0? But wait, the door has been shut. Egster's front and center. Exploration continues. The Lion Crew are not slowing down, cutting through the enemy like butter. Mephisto is put down to the ground, and Joe has the clutch at 1 HP. Jazzykins is on top of it.
Had the crosshair run on Jazzykins as well, and almost goes for the connection on that headshot. That could have been a one shot that decided to hold there for that half. And Jazzykins, when she's finally able to be with the team on these hits, gets so much value for their side on that defense. There's great delays being done. You're seeing that they're staying much as a group on top of that. There's over-aggression coming out from the side of KRLY, and it's understandable. You are winning, or were winning 10-0 at that point. So you're fighting towards that spawn, and Jazzykins is able to outduel them all. Very nice little round for Jazzykins, and I'd love to try to see NV FlyQuest try to get her a little bit more involved, but instead they're forcing her to fall back into spawn because of this ult from Benji.
Benji going to the, there's quite a split as Lion Crew hope the sell, the fake over at A, throwing out the Prowler. They got the duelist Sakyapado, and Benji gets the ball rolling. There's no one there to stop them, but they don't have sights on Garage, so that is what NV FlyQuest have to work with.
I mean, the utils are being placed too in the pulse plan. You have the alarm bot watching the Garage walk up. Yeah, nanoswarms, at least that gets broken right away here towards that spawn, but yeah, that forward position by Mephisto with the shorty.
Joe will check the flank at the door here from Poppin. Even be able to wrap through Garage, shooting bodies. But wait, Thea could have had that moment to respond to that. Nonetheless, this is just another day at the office. And you wouldn't think of that after what you saw from map 1. This is a complete 180. They're being buried alive.
Yeah, 11-1 half. One more round that they had over against NV FlyQuest on their bye, where NV FlyQuest are at 10-2. But yeah, definitely a masterclass attack side here for the LATAM team. Very difficult for adaptation on the side of FlyQuest NV, and hopefully they have an opportunity now to do so. But we talked about how that double op could be very, very tough to deal with now that they have to take that on the attack side against them going through here, Lemon Kiwi.
Excited to see what happens in that second half. We've had very one-sided halves in both maps, but how will this end? It would be quite the legendary comeback, but we'll find out after the break.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
It's 11-1 for the Lion crew. And depending on how this pistol goes, we're going to get a speed run into this map 3, Vance.
And then just the classic closest game that they will have on a third map if it continues this way, right? Because it was a 13-11 last time these two teams faced off against each other on split yesterday in a round robin. And it's only poetic if you have a dominating result for the map trades for both of these rosters, and then you have a banger of a third map. But before we even get to talk about that third map, let's finish off that second half now. So we just talked about here, the attack side now only has this Sova as a solo initiator and not too much in a util kit to help out. So you are going to leverage or try to leverage Exter and Jazzikins in a very similar fashion that Mephisto and Joe did. Just go for pedal to the metal around the util, open up the site, overtake now the anchor being launched into the C site, and then just hold your line.
TNB FlyQuest wasting no time. Dash in, but not checking that left side. That's a critical gap to leave open. And it completely ruins the offense for NV FlyQuest. It's done and wrapped up just like that.
And that is unfortunate, because when you're looking at the combination of the recon dart and the flash TP on the back of the C site, it is actually two teammates that have played with each other for the longest time under the rankers and then under NB, right? So there was a little bit of a missed time when the TP already came through with the flash before the recon even hit the wall. So it became such an easy kill for Monch. You get no backside control for the execution of the attack, and then everybody's just able to flood in because you can't do anything for the rest of the rest of the exec. You've lost so much. The other ones are so far behind because they're still throwing util, and now it's map point for KRLY.
Quick check. The Outlaw, no connection. NV FlyQuest running it down through all sides, and Mephisto's still able to adjust, reattune as NV FlyQuest hope to get looks and glimpses and wait for what their lurk can create. Ev found in mid. Now NV FlyQuest have the troublesome task of re-clearing.
It's going to be so tough now for NV FlyQuest, because every single one of these rounds, they're going to just have to force bind, especially when you get a plant into the first round. Your economy is going to continue to stay quite low, but you're also losing players. And now the spike in the process. I don't even think we need to talk about an uphill battle anymore for the attack side.
It's just over, yeah. Some desyncs in that play style of how quick NV FlyQuest were to leave their spike behind. Hoping to make the most out of their initiator util, what little they do have. Which I'm just glad NV FlyQuest are playing initiator. Jazzykins will be left in the dust, and so will the rest. 13-1. Oh, now we're pulling out the fun dances. Okay, okay.
Yeah, a little bit
Map
of a
3 ahead
bolster
of us.
celebration there. That's a little bit nice, but you know, they talked about vibes on that side, Lemon Kiwi on the analyst desk since yesterday, and the vibes continue, especially when you're able to have such a dominant victory of a 13-1 and getting this type of results when it was handled to you and handed to you on that first map of Bind. This is definitely looking like a happy two happy teams rather who are going to battle it out on split.
Imagine that. And that was a split that FlyQuest Envy didn't run an initiator on, as I mentioned. The double duelist, at least you'll get to rely back on that. But this line crew, what a comeback from that 13-2 loss on Bind to a 13-1 decimation on Haven. We are being treated to some entertainment during the off season, y'all. I am so excited for what's in store. So stay tuned. We'll see you after the break.